They mocked us, laughed at a little boy's dream. The WA said our treehouse was ugly, illegal, worthless. But what they didn't know was the heartbreaking reason behind every nail, every plank, every tear we shed while building it. This wasn't just a treehouse. It was the last promise two parents made before they died. And when the WA tried to take it away, they had no idea how far I would go for justice, and for my orphaned nephew. On the day tragedy struck, my world changed forever. My sister and her husband, gone in a car accident. Their little boy, Ethan, just 8 years old, stood in the hospital hallway clutching my hand, his eyes wide, his voice small. "Uncle, they're not coming back, are they?" I swallowed hard. My life had never felt so heavy. I promised him then and there, "I'll take care of you, Ethan. Always." But grief doesn't fade easily for a child. Nights were filled with nightmares. His laughter, gone. His spark, dimmed. One day, while packing boxes from my sister's old house, I found a sketchbook. On one page was a crayon drawing of a treehouse, with the words written in a child's handwriting. Mom and Dad promised we'd build this together. My heart broke. That night, I showed Ethan the drawing. His eyes lit up for the first time since the funeral. "Uncle, do you think we could still build it?" And that's when I knew, this wasn't just about wood and nails. It was about healing, about keeping his parents' promise alive. So, I gathered tools. I bought lumber. Together, with Ethan's little hands handing me nails and holding the hammer too tightly, we started. Every plank we placed carried memory, every step meant something deeper. But then, the WA noticed. 2 days into construction, a woman in a pressed blouse and sunglasses marched into my yard, clipboard in hand. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "What do you think you're doing?" I explained gently, "My nephew lost his parents. We're building this treehouse as a memorial, and..." She cut me off. "This is against WA regulations. Unsightly. Unsafe. You'll need to take it down." Ethan's little face fell. He whispered, "But it's for Mom and Dad." The woman scoffed. "Rules are rules. I'll be reporting this." That night, I tucked Ethan into bed, wiping his tears. My heart burned with anger, but stronger than anger was determination. I promised him, "We'll finish this treehouse. No matter what it takes." The next morning, the WA notice was taped to my door. "Immediate removal required. Failure to comply will result in daily fines." Neighbors began whispering. Some shook their heads with pity. Others laughed. I overheard them at the mailbox. "Can you believe it? Building some ugly shack in the tree. Looks like a junkyard project." Honestly, those people shouldn't even be here. Their words stabbed deeper than nails. But when I looked at Ethan's hopeful eyes, I knew quitting wasn't an option. We worked every evening after school. His small hands held the flashlight while I hammered. Sometimes, he'd tell me stories about his parents, his mom baking cookies, his dad teaching him how to ride a bike. Every memory woven into those wooden beams. One night, I found him sitting in the half-built treehouse, clutching a photo of his parents. "Uncle, do you think they'd be proud?" I hugged him tightly. "They'd be more than proud. They'd be here with us if they could." But the WA wasn't done. They started mailing fines, $50, then $100, then $200. I called the president, a man named Mr. Randall, to plead our case. His voice was cold. "Look, I sympathize with your situation, but rules exist for a reason. That structure will come down, one way or another." I felt powerless, until one evening, when something unexpected happened. An elderly neighbor, Mrs. Wilson, walked over with cookies in her hands. She looked up at the half-finished treehouse, her eyes watering. "You know," she said softly, "my husband built one just like this for our kids before he passed. Don't let them take it from you." Word spread. Slowly, neighbors who once mocked, started helping. One brought paint. Another donated wood. A retired carpenter offered his tools. Every nail hammered was an act of defiance. Every smile Ethan gave was victory over grief. But the WA doubled down. They called an emergency meeting. Flyers went out. Illegal treehouse construction, vote to enforce removal. The night of the meeting, I held Ethan's hand as we walked into the crowded clubhouse. The room buzzed with whispers. Mr. Randall stood tall at the podium. "This so-called treehouse is a violation. Unsafe, unsightly, and against regulations. We must uphold the rules." Then, he sneered at Ethan. And honestly, it looks more like a dump than a playhouse. The room gasped. My nephew's lip trembled. Tears welled in his eyes. That was the moment I couldn't stay silent. I stood up. You mock an orphan's dream. You laugh at a child's way of grieving. This isn't just wood and nails. This is the last promise his parents left him. And if you take this from him, you're not protecting the neighborhood, you're destroying a child's hope. The room fell silent. Ethan squeezed my hand. After my speech, the vote began. HOA board members raised their hands, one by one. At first, it looked grim. Randall smirked as the first few sided with him. But then, something shifted. Mrs. Wilson stood and spoke. I lost my husband last year. That boy lost both his parents. That treehouse isn't breaking our community. It's building it. Another neighbor added. I helped paint that treehouse. It's stronger than some of the homes here. If this is against the rules, then maybe the rules need to change. One by one, more neighbors raised their hands against the removal. Randall's face turned red. This is outrageous. You'll regret defying the HOA. But it was too late. The majority had spoken. The treehouse would stay. That night, Ethan and I climbed into the finished treehouse for the first time. String lights glowed softly. The walls were painted with handprints from neighbors. In the corner, a small shelf held a framed photo of his parents. Ethan whispered, "Uncle, it feels like they're here." And for the first time, he smiled, a real smile, wide and bright. The story didn't just end there. The HOA, pressured by the community, rewrote their rules to allow family memorial projects. Our little fight had changed things for every family in the neighborhood. Months later, I found Ethan sitting in the treehouse, reading aloud to his parents' photo. "Mom, Dad, we did it." Tears filled my eyes, but this time they weren't just from sorrow. They were from love, from justice, from the strength of sacrifice. Because that treehouse wasn't just wood and nails. It was healing. It was family. It was a promise kept. Dash dash dash.